Hey everyone, how's it going? It's Russell here, and oh my goodness, Freeland and the House Leader of the Liberals, Pablo Rodriguez, just held a surprise press conference where Freeland said that she is scared and that she's concerned that the Budget Implementation Act, Bill C-30, won't pass in time for the deadline that's coming as of next Wednesday. Now, if you've been following the channel, this means that benefits and supports like the CRB, the CRCB, the Canada Emergency Wage Subsidy, the Canada Emergency Rent Subsidy, along with other programs that are inside of Bill C-30, well, if this doesn't actually pass before next Wednesday, it could be scrapped entirely until September when the government comes back from their 2-month summer vacation. So in this video, we're going to go over exactly what was said in that press conference that just finished, so that you don't have to watch the whole thing yourself. If you want to, there is a full stream on my channel, so you can get all of the details, but we're going to go over what Freeland said, why she's so concerned, why she thinks the Conservatives are actually against Parliament functioning properly, but we're also going to go over some of the things that make that sound a little bit hypocritical. I'm going to give you all the details right here in this video, but before we do, make sure to check out the link in the description where you can get 40% off the Canada Money Mastery program with coupon code GROW. It's the cheapest the program will ever be, and you get lifetime access to all future videos added to that course. So check it out, see if it's a good fit for you, but let's get into this information and what exactly just happened. I'm going to be looking at my notes here from the presentation that they just gave so that I can give you all the details here, but essentially Pablo Rodriguez, the House Leader of the Liberals, came out and said, we are worried because we only have essentially 6 days left to pass legislation, and he's calling on the opposition parties to put aside partisan politics. But what's he talking about here? Essentially, the Liberals are coming out and saying the Conservatives are actively trying to stop legislation from being passed through the House of Commons by stalling. On last Thursday, they actually tried to close Parliament early, essentially end their day around 11 a.m. This is what Pablo Rodriguez said of the Liberals, and as of recently, the Liberals are claiming that the Conservatives are filibustering or delaying all of the debates with unrelated topics. Now, the Conservatives definitely wouldn't say this, and they would have an argument to this, but we'll get into that in a moment. The Liberals held this press conference to put pressure on the Conservatives to stop them from doing this because the Liberals think that there are 4 important pieces of legislation or bills that need to pass before this deadline in Liberals' eyes. The first one is the one we already talked about, Bill C-30, the Budget Implementation Act that extends all these benefits, but also lowers the benefits in some cases. Also Bill C-12, which changes climate targets. So we'll get into those details later. Also Bill C-10, which is super controversial because it gives the CRTC more power to regulate the online sphere of content here in Canada, as well as C-6, which is a bill against conversion therapy. So the Liberals are saying these are the 4 bills that we need to pass before Wednesday. Now, this really seems like the Liberals are going on the aggressive to try to get these bills passed, calling out the Bloc Québécois and the NDP to work with them to get the bills passed. It seems like what the Liberals are doing here is saying, hey, we just held this press conference. If you don't work with us to pass these bills, it's going to look like you're working with the Conservatives, which may not be the best look for you, especially as we're heading into a potential election. So it's sort of pressuring the Bloc and the NDP to play along with what the Liberals want to do. Freeland also came out and said, hey, this is just what the Conservatives do. They like to block the parliamentary processes. And she referenced back to Bill C-14, which if you've been following the channel for a while, you might remember that was the fall economic update and trying to implement those measures, such as the top up to the Canada Child Benefit. You might remember that that was delayed months. Freeland's blaming that on the Conservatives and saying they're doing the exact same thing right now with Bill C-30, saying that all of these benefits could potentially end because of these parliamentary delay tactics. That's the wording that Freeland used. Now, of course, right here on the channel, I like to stay right down the middle politically and bring you the information so you can make your mind up. So, of course, I'm going to cover what the Conservatives likely are saying in this situation. Now, Conservatives will say, well, what are you talking about us not having enough time to pass this? You guys are the ones that took 2 years to bring in your budget and took so long to actually get this debate started and rolling. If you really wanted to pass this bill specifically to get the benefits pushed forward and actually extended, then why did you cram all of these measures inside of a 700-page bill that we needed to take more time to debate? How come you didn't just come up with a more targeted, benefit-related bill that could be passed more quickly, because there would largely be a consensus among all politicians that this is a good thing to pass? So that's one of the Conservative critiques. They also are saying, hey, we don't like this budget because there's no plan for a proper reopening of the economy, saying Canadians don't want these benefits in the short term. They want a long-term solution and a reopening of the economy so that Canadians can get back to normal and get back to work. That's what the Conservatives have been saying lately, and the Liberals are saying that we need to pass this and Canadians still need support, but they actually are the ones who are lowering the CRB once they get past the July date that the benefits lowered. They're saying it's a little bit of doublespeak, the Liberal government saying we need to be here for Canadians and support them. The Conservatives aren't doing that, when at the same time Liberals are pushing down the benefit amounts. Now, another criticism here is that the Liberals for some reason are coming out and saying they need to pass all 4 of these bills, some of which are very controversial, before the end of the session on next Wednesday, June 23rd. Now, the Conservatives are saying, well, why do you care if we pass these right away? 3 of these bills aren't very time sensitive. Shouldn't we just be focusing on C30 if that's what you're most worried about? Because when the Parliament comes back into session in September, well, they can re-begin the debates on those other less time sensitive bills. Now, some critics are thinking that the Liberals are potentially positioning themselves for an election very, very soon. If there's an election, all of this legislation, if it's not already passed, will be essentially wiped out, and they'd have to start from square one when the new government is formed after an election. So this seems like, to some critics, that the Liberals are saying, hey, we might have an election, so we better get this stuff passed so we don't have to worry about it. Now, the Liberals outwardly are saying we don't want an election, nobody wants an election, but based on their actions, some critics think that they're kind of sort of hiding their true intentions here. But now let's get down to what exactly this means for you if you're somebody who's on one of these benefits, and what you need to be looking out for over the next couple of days. Now, first, of course, you know, with Bill C30, there's all of these extensions for the benefits. If Bill C30 doesn't pass, well, we'll be left with the current state of things with many of these benefits ending in June, right? So we need to keep our eyes open to see if this legislation actually passes. The Liberals in their press conference said that today in the House of Commons, they'd be bringing in a motion that seeks to have a time allocation. Essentially, I believe this just means that they're going to spend more time debating Bill C30 so that they can hopefully get past what they see as conservative delay tactics to get this legislation that they think is so important passed. So we're going to have to keep our eyes open to see if the NDP and the Bloc Québécois vote alongside the Liberal government in order to allocate more time to debate these bills and potentially get them passed. But there is a little bit of tension between these parties and the Liberals right now, because when the Bill C30 was being debated and studied in the Finance Committee, well, the Liberals over and over again shut down many of the changes that the Bloc Québécois and the NDP wanted to make to this bill. So it's going to be very interesting to see if they sort of fall under the pressure of the Liberal government saying, hey, well, if you don't support us, you're essentially giving into these conservative delay tactics. You might remember a couple, or actually just a week ago, Jagmeet Singh was questioning Justin Trudeau very, very pointedly about why he was lowering benefit amounts for Canadians, even though he believes that Canadians need more support. This was something they tried to change in the Finance Committee, but they weren't able to because the Liberals blocked it. So we're going to see where the rubber hits the road here. Are the NDP and the Bloc Québécois going to go alongside with the Liberals, saying something is better than nothing, or are they going to fight against these Liberal tactics that trying to get the legislation passed? It's going to be super interesting to watch, and I'm going to keep you updated right here on the channel. Probably another video by the end of the day, because lots of stuff is going on very quickly. But with all that said, make sure to check out the links in the description where you can open up your own investing accounts, start taking your wealth into your own hands, which is just so important. I can't emphasize that enough. Check out the coupon code for the course down there, cheapest it's ever going to be. And with all of that said, let me know what you think. I'm saying so much here, guys. There's so much information to get through. I'm trying to get it out to you as quickly as I possibly can. Let me know what you think down in the comments. And with all that said, thank you so much for watching, everybody. Really hope this video helped you out at least a little bit, and I'll see you next time. This channel is supported by viewers like you. Thanks, channel members.